It was a beautiful summer day. The sun was shining, flowers were blooming, bees were buzzing, birds were chirping. Good morning! Parker Puppy headed out into the neighborhood for a walk with Mrs. Puppy. Parker was in a very good mood because of the lovely weather. It was going to be a very good day. While walking down the sidewalk, Parker and Mrs. Puppy saw Mrs. Cow entering a store. Mrs. Cow was pushing her baby in a stroller. Mrs. Puppy could tell she would have trouble opening the door on her own. Parker, please help Mrs. Cow with the door. Do I have to? Parker was enjoying the beautiful weather and did not want to stop walking. Yes, please lend a hand. Let me hold the door for you, Mrs. Cow. Why, thank you, Parker. What a big help you are. Parker couldn't help but smile after Mrs. Cow's compliment. Mrs. Cow wasn't the only one who Parker helped that day. Parker and Mrs. Puppy saw another neighbor who could use a helping hand. Look! Mrs. Whiskers was about to cross the street. She walked very slowly and had trouble seeing. Mrs. Puppy didn't have to ask Parker this time. Let me help you cross the street. Thank you. You are the most helpful little puppy I have ever met. As they continued walking, Parker and Mrs. Puppy saw their favorite neighbor, Officer Barker. He was directing traffic and making sure everyone in the neighborhood stayed safe. Hello, Officer Barker. I've been very busy helping others today. I want to be a good neighbor just like you. I'm proud of you, Parker. Keep being kind to others and lending a helping hand, and you will be well on your way. Farther down the street, Parker spotted Harper Hippo, a friend from school. Harper was hanging a picture up and looked quite sad. What's wrong, Harper? Why are you sad? I lost my pet frog. I'm putting up posters so people know to look for him. I'll lend a hand. We'll look for your frog together. Together, Parker and Harper looked all over the place for Harper's pet frog. They looked under things and over things. They looked in big places and little places. Here, Froggy. Come out, wherever you are. We found him. Sure enough, Parker Puppy helped spot the frog. As they walked home, Parker and Mrs. Puppy stopped by the park to pick up Parker's youngest sibling, Pat, from soccer practice. They found Pat waiting at the swing set. Being a helpful big sibling, Parker gave Pat a push. Now I'm flying! I managed to help a lot of people today, and that sure helped make this a great day. What is a goop? Many years ago, a very polite man named Gillette Burgess wrote poems about naughty children who had poor manners. Burgess named these silly creations goops. By seeing how badly goops behave, many children have learned to act nicely and use their very best manners. Saying I won't. I won't, says young Amelia Pratt. I won't do this, I won't do that. Now isn't won't the naughtiest word that anyone has ever heard? Now isn't that the rudest way a goop could answer? I should say, the duty of the strong. You who are the oldest, you who are the tallest, don't you think you ought to help the youngest and the smallest? You who are the strongest, you who are the quickest, don't you think you ought to help the weakest and the sickest? Never mind the trouble. Help them all you can. Be a little woman. Be a little man. The end.